are online. Hello and welcome, people out there. It's already 1, 2, 3, 4. Kai, that's me. That's a fake account. So 4 or 5 people. We're all online. Absolutely perfect.
Love it. So
That's
7
great.
attendees here.
Today I don't care, man. We're gonna give them a lot of value. So together with me today is Morten Hake. Not with an A, but an E, as I wrote first wrong and now correctly. And we're going to talk 1 hour, 30 minutes, 1 hour about how you can design the life of your dreams.
Ba-boom. That's 30 minutes to 1 hour, not 1.5 hours for those of you who didn't get that. Because I was like confused now. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Exactly, no worries, man. So, as you guys might already know, Morten Hake is gonna be a speaker at the Lifestyle Design Convention 2015 at 10th and 11th of January. So, of those out there who haven't done that yet, check out www.lifestyle2015.com. Yeah, Morten is gonna be there not only doing his speech like a normal guy would do, but he's going to be there during the whole event, living with you guys, sleeping with you guys, being there and just like answering all your questions. I remember you said that the first time. I had to laugh my ass off because of that. I said it again. So it's going to be really, really good. Yeah. Long story short, we might going to start with like a short introduction, if that's okay for you, Morten.
Sure.
Can say a few sentences about myself, and then we're going to head right into your introduction, which people are probably more interested. So let's start. My name is Kai Christen. I'm the founder and organizer of the Lifestyle Design Convention, an event where I want to help people to find out what they really want in life and really get the focus and the push, the energy to really follow through. And I'm also doing coachings and sales coachings, communication coachings, leadership coaching. So what I'm actually doing at the moment is I'm working for a big fashion company, doing consulting work there, but I'm doing like all kinds of coachings on a company base as well as individual, where I help people transform as well as organizations transform. Yeah, that is about me. Now we're gonna get to the interesting part. Morten, who are you?
My name is Morten Hake. I like long trips in the woods and long. No, I just turned 27. For the last 7 or actually 8 years, I've been super fascinated and interested in like. I've been on a path of creating my dream lifestyle, and it started off with me wanting to become better with women, and I met some other guys who were like into the whole game pickup community. I did that for a while. I joined a 6-month coaching program to become a dating instructor, and we literally literally hit on girls 6 hours a day, and when we weren't hitting on girls, I was either at work or analyzing my hitting on girls. That's the worst introduction ever, but anyways, it gets better.
All right.
And then, I got more interested in like personal growth, peak performance, mental health, and I was blogging at the time, and some magazine picked up what we were doing, so they wrote a big article about us. All of a sudden, people started reading my blog, coming to me for advice. I continued my blog, so at one point, I just jumped in the pool and quit my job to do this full time. And I've been constantly like while doing this, getting more and more, so it became. I run now a website which has been for the last, I don't know how many years, but it was like my motto, my thing was like I'm the most dedicated personal developer in Norway. That was my thing, and but a new insight has changed everything for me. That's what I'm going to talk about today. But yeah, and I've also like I'm very interested in women, obviously, and connected with women. And together with my colleague Knut, we started an annual international conference where we bring in top speakers when it comes to dating and personal development, sexuality, and sex. And we've done that for 4 years. And it was at the last conference. It's called the Morten Hake Summit. It was at the last summit that I invited Jamie Smart to talk there, and I thought he was going to talk about NLP, because I've been like studying some NLP, doing some learning a bit about NLP, and I was like fascinated by the idea, and I could see that it was kind of like working in a sense. So I thought, like, okay, the guy with the biggest NLP company in the world, you know, he's been working at NLP for 13 years. Let's get him as the keynote speaker, and then boom, you know. So sorry, I just have something in my throat, so I'm like I'm talking weird. Yeah, so I got into the conference, and when he got on stage, he actually he didn't talk about NLP. He talked about something completely different, and I didn't like understand it, but I kind of felt it. So I felt good while he was talking, and everything just like cleared up for me, and I was like, this is a new experience. And just that in itself, just seeing that it was a new experience, was to me a proof, or was to me attractive, you know. It was a proof that I had to look more into this.
Yeah.
And during the we had a Q&A session after the speakers, so all the speakers got on stage and everybody got to ask their questions. And one of the guys, he had listened to my colleague Knut, because we were like, while being in these crazy coaching programs, we were running around hitting on girls all the time. We calculated that during 6 months, we had approached like 9,000 women or something. It was a crazy number. So we talked about that at the conference, and Knut mentioned that in like a passing sentence or something. That was not his, anyways. And there was like one guy who got stuck on the idea that I have to approach 9,000 women to be, you know, to become the master of women, and he thought that, you know, which is natural, I guess. Even though that is not going to help you, I don't advise anyone to do that. If that makes sense for you, do it, but it probably won't make sense to you. Don't do that. So he asked Jamie, like, he was like trying to figure out, what do I need to do in order to become better with women? Like, what's the best advice that you can give me so I can, you know, get it? And Jamie, he was just like, to be honest, you already have the answer. It's just your mind is cluttered right now. You're searching for an answer. And while you're searching for an answer, you are feeling that searching. So in this moment, you're frustrated because you're living in the feeling of your thinking right now. And right now, you are trying to figure it out. So in this moment, you are feeling yourself trying to figure it out. And that's why you're not gonna, like, that's why you feel frustrated. But the answer is like you always have the answer. Nobody could give you your answer. When you get a true insight, that's something that comes from somewhere within you. It's something, a true insight, a true like epiphany, a true aha moment, like a big one, is something that once you get that thought, you already know it's true. Like, it's done. Like, because it doesn't have to go through any filters of your thinking. So that's why I don't give people advice, you know, because I don't know what's best for them. They know what's best for them underneath all of their cluttered mind, if that makes sense. So when Jamie said at a conference, he said, you already have the answer. then something happened in me, and I wasn't the one who asked the question, but I was listening, and I had my filters down. I was not the one asking the question, so I was not the one trying to figure it out. So I had my filters down, and then my mind was clear, and that's how you more easily receive insights. And then I just like realized that, boom, I know that I'm starting a new chapter in my life. I am breaking up with my girlfriend. That was what I realized in that moment. I'm breaking up with my girlfriend, and it was true to me. It was an insight. It was something that was true to me. So I knew that I had to do it because it was true to me. And once I started thinking, I got nervous and scared, and I don't want to break her heart, and da 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 da. It was a happy ending. We have a great relationship now, but that was the start of my big breakthrough, like a year ago.
Okay.
That was a very long introduction.
And also to so like the people out there, I've seen. I'm happy to see a few girls. It's completely not only like focused on that topic. I mean, when you start now, I'm imagining, but when I hear you speaking, when you start realizing that you start realizing that you can have insights on any level. Like whether that's a relationship, business, it stands behind everything, kind of. I had a similar feeling. So now this starts getting into like a little Jamie Smart marketing campaign. But I listened to his book Clarity also yesterday or a few days ago, and it's just like that is the kind of book that you listen to. I listened to the audiobook, and it's more like you don't understand it on an intellectual level, maybe. It's like a true insight you will not understand on an intellectual level. I can feel it.
Yeah.
Like I just get literally calmer. Like just like, oh, all right, it's fine. It's fine being me, It's just completely all right being me. So maybe like we're talking now around the whole thing. Maybe you want to describe a little bit more what that insight is, or what the whole thing is about.
Yeah. So for people like who doesn't know me or what I do, or like, I'll make this more tangible. And I know I'm taught, like, so far it's been a bit abstract, but point being is that when you understand how life works on a deep fundamental level, you're gonna automatically work with it. You're gonna work with life instead of against it. If you misunderstand just a tiny, if you misunderstand an essential part of life and how your feelings and thinking and experiences are working, if you misunderstand how you experience, like how life works, then you're gonna be in that misunderstanding and work towards yourself, if that makes sense. Like, you're gonna work towards life unfolding instead of just letting life unfolding. And when kind of that this understanding is so powerful across the board, I am like, the implication of this is that you get a clear mind, you get better decision making, you're more loving, you don't take things personal, you are more inspired, creative, motivated, you get shit done, you're more productive, you're more attractive, you're more like, your timing is perfect, you get more humor and all that. I'm not saying you're gonna be like that all the time, but I'm saying that a better understanding of how life works will have you stop putting sticks in your wheels. So then all of the things that you want in your life becomes way more effortless to create, because what happens when we get an idea? We get an idea, for example, and this is, to create our dream lifestyle. Like, we get an idea, okay, I want to create a podcast. I run a podcast. I had that idea a month ago. So that's why I used that as an example. But so say, oh, I want to create a podcast, or I want to create a website. um, to maybe one day live off that website and travel the world or whatever, to create that dream lifestyle, whatever that dream lifestyle is for you. But here's an example. So you get the idea, and what happens? All Once you get the idea, in the moment you're getting the idea, you're super inspired, and it feels very easy and simple, and
Mm-hmm.
everything. You can just do anything, right? And then thinking comes. Like thinking, like overthinking and worrying, and the more time you spend not taking action on that thing, the more thought created problems, thought monsters. You're going to create limiting beliefs, thought traps, and bunch of millions of excuses of why you cannot achieve it. Oh, you need to know this, you need to know this, you need to be confident in this, and you need to know that, and you need to, coding and designing, and you need to hire someone, and da 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 da. And all of a sudden, just like I did now, I created 10 different excuses of why you cannot do the idea that you came up with.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see that in the coachings that I do so many times that people actually already know what they want to do. Like they
Mm.
already know. And they just think it's so impossible that they're literally they knew it at some point and they just push it away. And the main work for you is then to like help them again to get over those fears and then actually being courageous enough to formulate it again and say, hey,
Mm.
actually, if I put all those limiting stuff back before I started thinking, that was actually what I wanted to do. And
Yeah.
that is really fucking interesting. Just so
Yeah.
people have a little bit of a view, like how you live. Like the thing, like what you guys have to know, I've lived with Morten for 1 week at his place with his friends, and what you can see with them, what's really fascinating to me is how many times you guys get into that state of, yeah, you call it flow, and I like that word very much, where you're just like happy. And like I could feel like I was still in my thinking, so I couldn't really connect with it. But I
Yeah.
could see like it's like those guys that you see really drunk dancing in a club and
Yeah.
just completely letting everything go, but you guys are sober the same. And it's just really nice to see
That's the best testimonial ever. I
that
love
people
that.
can be like and people can see that or I could see like, whoa, this is possible to while being completely in a normal situation with your life. You just
Yeah.
have something emerges in you and you're just happy. And I was like, damn, I want to have that as well. So
Uh,
that was the point where I thought like this is going to be interesting to have you at the conference. And I also think at the same time a lot of people who are listening are now thinking like, what the fuck, I don't really understand. And that's completely okay. And
yeah.
that's completely okay. Just take the time, listen in, tune in, and don't really already have the expectation that you will understand everything that Morten is saying. I'm
Mm.
not getting that as an excuse because Morten talks confusing stuff, but also
I
because
do
like
sometimes.
yeah, it's just stuff that you have to let soak in and that you will realize after a certain time. Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool to hear your view on how we live. And I actually I'd say
Yeah.
this in the most humbling way ever, and I don't want to be coming across as a cocky guy, but me and the guys I live with, my colleagues and my best friends, uh, we literally do what we want when we want it. And
Hmm.
that's not to say that I don't live on yachts and 5 stars hotel all the time and that, but I have the ability to be where I want when I want it and take action on the ideas that I get. And if I want to party, I party, or if I want to, it's just like there's no there's no correlation between the 9 to 5 world and our world, if that makes sense. We created our own lifestyle. from scratch. From going from like, okay, zero, like what do we want? Because people take so many boxes for granted. Like, why? Like, just being in one country, that's a box. Listen, I'm not saying that what I want is what you should want. You know exactly what you want. But for me, uh, like being in a country for the rest of my life makes no sense. If we get just like, if I woke up on this earth and then someone told me, hey, this is your boundaries and you're gonna stay here for the rest of your life, that makes no sense to me personally. So I started there, I started on a blank canvas. Like, what do I want in my life? I want I want a lot of love. I want really, really good friends that I can be myself with 100% and trust, and like, fart and tell my most embarrassing stuff, and like experience things together, and like pick my nose, whatever, can be myself. And then I want women with the same relationship with women as well. And then I want to have a great relationship with my family, and then I want to have this and this and this, and I go from there instead of starting. It's like you're building a foundation instead of just like choosing a house, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so like, you were saying, I just dropped my thought. I don't remember what it was, but I want to tell people, like, if you have any questions, I want people to
We
ask them.
completely forget that. Yeah, please. There is a chat box on the right side that you guys have. So that's why this webinar is on, and we're already babbling for 22 minutes. That's why this webinar is on. Actually, like, ask any questions that you have in the right chat box. You can use that. It's very convenient, and we're going to try to answer every single questions that you guys have. Yeah, so until we get like the first questions in, what I also noticed when I was with you guys, or something that I had an insight with, like, I always pressured myself to do things, always, and I always felt bad about not doing stuff. And the first time when I was like in Oslo with you guys, I just thought like, well, right now I don't feel like working, so what do I feel like? And then we were in this bookstore. I was just in that moment just reading a book, and it felt so great to for the first time not force myself to do something, and see what happens. Like a few hours later, I was working completely productive till late in the night.
That's so cool.
Yeah, because for the first time I wasn't like, I have to work on the convention. I have to, but actually I was like, now I want to. I really, really want to. And
see, this is so cool, because I just did a podcast with anyways, I did a podcast with a guy, and he spoke about, and he said something that I resonated with a lot, and that's like, when you realize, that you are perfect, and you start letting go of all those like shoulds and all that, we tend to, what happens is that the script kind of flips 180 degrees. So I know you did this as well, and this has changed for you now. I can see it, I can feel it, and that's why I get goosebumps while saying it, because I know that your confidence is gonna fucking rock just because of that insight. And that's like, instead of with our brains and our intellect and our thinking and our, which is a good part of the brain or good part of us, but that's not what creates inspiration. That's not what motivates people. It's not the thinking and worrying and creating problems. Thinking and worrying and creating problems is good for what it's good for. Like, if you're an engineer creating a car, you want to create tons of problems so you can fix them before the car is made. You want to be able to have the intellect. If we didn't have the intellect, we wouldn't be able to do this webinar. But what happens when you start, like, what happened with you and what happened with me is like, this shifts. All of a sudden, we're going with a feeling instead of the trying, you know. So we're being instead of trying. We're just letting
Mhm.
life unfold. And when we want, when we're inspired to, we do, you know. So you work on the conference when you're inspired to work on the conference, and that's when you're going to have a clear mind, you're going to be focused, you're going to be motivated, you're going to be inspired, you're going to get ideas that just like, boom, yes, why didn't I think of that? And then just like, boom, 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 boom. But when people try to create something from a misunderstanding of how life works, then that's working against life. That's working against the unfolding of life. And it's like, it's just like, it's almost like it's a bit sad because you look how hard people work and how frustrated they are, and like how much they're suffering in not every moment, but people are trying to create their dream lifestyle while suffering. They just think like, okay, I'm just gonna suffer through this and then come out on the other side of the tunnel feeling happy. That's not how life works. You're
Mhm.
born happy. You're born perfect. You're good. You don't have to get anything from the outside because you were born with an innate well-being. You were born with a born happiness. So it's like we were born in heaven, and then somewhere along the way we start thinking that heaven is outside of ourselves, and then we start running around chasing heaven. And since we're feeling our thinking in the moment, then we're constantly going through life feeling, searching for heaven thinking instead of just like being. Make sense?
Absolutely, and that's what you said before with like the creating happens when you're actually not at the main work you're doing. So ask yourself out there, if you're out there, and think like, where did you have the great insights? It was probably under the shower. It was probably when you did a workout or something, and you were like, oh fuck, this is
Mm-hmm.
amazing. This is a really great idea. And it's mostly not when you're sitting at the computer doing some stuff or working at an Excel spreadsheet. It's certainly not then. It's much more than when you let go. When you let go of things, that is exactly when the creative stuff starts. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Benjamin just wrote,
Exactly.
"You are not Morten."
No, he said I'm hot.
You're hot. I read
uh,
I read like, "You are not Morten." I was like, what? What?
yeah, imagine if you took the wrong guy. I'm just like a
Yeah.
mentalist, you know, trying to, you know, just an illusion. I kind of am though.
I thought he maybe meant you before the transformation and then after, or something like that. I thought that.
Yeah. All right, so like yeah, so for people like I get if people don't get what I'm saying, that's fine. I want you to just feel how you're feeling throughout this webinar. If you're not, you know, if this resonates with you on some level, then that's all I want to hear. Like that's all you need. You don't. This is what I talk about is something that you actually already know. You were born with this. Like you already know this. You know, remember that when you were a kid and you were just like you weren't necessarily happy all the time, but you didn't care if you were happy or sad. You were just like, you know, you were just being a kid. Uh, that's what I'm talking about. Somewhere along the way, we start caring about our experience. And when I say care, I mean not care in a good way. I mean bothering yourself. Somewhere along the way, we start bothering ourselves about our experience, which is nothing else than just a tiny misunderstanding. And when you get a deep, profound, fundamental understanding of how life works, you're not misunderstanding that anymore. And life becomes effortless, just like when you were a kid. Um, because it really is like, since you're just living in the feeling of your thought generated experience in the moment, you're literally feeling your thinking now, 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 now. Not what you're thinking about. You're feeling your thinking. Feelings and thinking are the same thing. It's just two sides of a coin. So you're living in the feeling of your thinking every moment. So that means that when you are feeling frustrated or depressed or angry, that just means that in that specific moment you have frustrated thinking, angry thinking, or the other example I don't remember. So it just means that like that's it. Like that's it. And thoughts and feelings, they come and go like the weather. When there's rainy outside, you don't try to change the rain, do you? You just you just like, okay, it's raining, and sometimes that's you another example is me sitting in front of the computer earlier today, and the sun was like, I just woke up super late, and I was late for a coaching call. I was just like, oh, getting up and like getting my coffee, and then, when you wake up and you're like kind of like out of it, and just like out of it, and the sun was like shining on my computer screen on the side and on my face. I was just like, fuck. I was so irritated, but I didn't like. It never made sense to me to try to change the sun. All right, yes, I had a bad experience in that moment, but I also knew that it was just my experience in that moment. I also knew that it had nothing to do with the sun. It was just my thinking in the moment. To say it in another way, my experience in the moment. I was experiencing my experience in the moment, and that's it. Like there's really nothing out there that can have a real impact on our feelings. Our feelings is just a mirror of our thinking. But it seems to us, it's very, very, very real to us. It seems like it's so real to us that it looks 100% real, that it comes from something else than our thinking.
And you can see that like people get into this vicious circle, right? So instead of seeing this, you then make the sun responsible, and then you make yourself feel bad about it, or you put value on the whole experience, and by that you just get into this vicious circle. Or when you feel depressed, you think, I shouldn't feel depressed, I should feel good about that, blah, blah, blah. And all this inner dialogue starts going and going and going, instead of just letting go and say, well, right now I feel like this. And I feel like this because my thinking is like this. And it's nothing that's the most important part. It's nothing on the outside that did this to you. It is nothing on the outside that did this to you. It's all your thinking. It's all yourself. It's all in you that created this experience. That's very cool. Like that's also a very close thing to that the Radical Honesty seminar by Brad Blanton that I did is like basically saying you're the creator of everything.
Yeah.
You're creating your experience, you're creating everything. So why make anybody else in your life responsible for any emotion that you have? Why would you do that? It's ridiculous. And even though it is ridiculous, we're doing it all the time. All the time.
Yeah.
We all do it. We all do it. And that's also a very important part to understand. Like, till you're probably fucking enlightened, you will do it.
Yeah, because we are thinking beings. Like, thinking is form in itself. So like our thinking, like we are creating and perceiving this universe, like with our minds. Like our human experience is just a human experience. Like we have an X amount of colors we can see, we have an X amount of sound that we can hear, we have an X amount of, like our experience, like our feelings and thinking, all that. This is our human experience. This is how we get to experience life. Like we can't even like grasp what life is, because we only have like this amount of colors to see, we only have this amount of sound to hear. So there are species that can see colors that we can't see. There are species that can't see the colors we're seeing. So whatever, like, that just means that we don't have the final answer to anything. Nobody does. Nobody has a final answer to anything. It's just about how comfortable can you be not knowing, because it is what it is, and our experience is our human experience, and that's it. Like,
Oh man, that is such a big point to me. Like I'm the biggest why guy you can imagine. So
mm,
like I'm asking myself all the time, why is it like that? Why
mm,
is that person not liking me? Why is that and that? And it
mm,
takes so much energy from me.
mm,
And the moment I started realizing that I don't have to figure it out, it's all right. Like that person
yeah,
doesn't like me, it's all right. You know, and I
yeah,
will probably not change it. Might change it, and you just stop using all this energy for this. It makes you so relieved, and
yeah.
I cannot do it all the time, far from it.
No,
But
no, we go in and out of it.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's absolutely, it's like woof, woof. But the more I can do it, the more I can actually use my energy to create shit, to create stuff, to create cool things that are really coming from a place of that I want to do. And
yeah,
instead of worrying, instead of trying to figure out why is that guy working like that, how can I, and blah blah blah. And it takes, yeah, it's just
yeah,
really really relieving if you start realizing that you don't have to figure out all the time why something is like it is.
yeah. Because in reality, there is no boxes, right? Everything, like literally
Yeah, yeah,
every single thing in this, every single thing you can imagine with our human imaginary capacity is by definition neutral. It it gets a meaning once we experience it. Like, everything is open for interpretation. If you look at any event in this world, any circumstance, any like permutation of like hurt or damage to your body or anything, if you take 1,000 people and give them the same like circumstance, they're gonna have 1,000 different experiences of that. So that just proves the point that every single imaginary thing in this universe is open for interpretation. It's neutral. It's nothing and something at the same time. So us trying to figure out everything is useless. Us trying to box in everything is useless. Us trying to, create a meaning out of everything is useless. Because once you create a meaning, like I remember I was constantly searching for my life purpose. That was the most important thing, the newest thing in personal development, and the hottest books these days are about purpose. And and like I was like worrying about finding my purpose. And then I chose a purpose, and then I was worrying about not reaching that purpose. I mean, it just makes no sense. If I just were to like let go of, or not even just let go, but just like understand that we go in and out of different experiences, and we're just like feeling our thinking in a moment, then automatically I let go of that idea that purpose would make me feel anything, that idea that purpose would make me happy, that idea, it just dropped. So all of a sudden, purpose came to me effortless in the moment. And it changes. Who knows? It might change 1 second from now.
that's, yeah. Christopher wrote, and I think that's very true. You don't find your purpose, you create it. That's very
Hmm.
nice. That's
I would
very
even
nice.
go as far as to say, like, your being, like, your purpose is being created through you.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
it's just
Nice.
like, it's like one day you wake, like one moment you wake up and go, holy shit, that's my purpose. Whoa, where did that come from? Just like when people are in the shower, or I tend to like, or I use shower as an example. When people are in the shower, why do people always talk about getting ideas in the shower? You know, it's just because people in the shower, you often people relate that to just like nothing else than doing what's at hand, and then they just wash themselves, and then their mind starts drifting, and the mind clears. And when your mind is clear, that's when you get those insights. That's when you get, all of a sudden you get a purpose. That's when you get the answer to the question you've been trying to figure out for months. And when you give up, all of a sudden, just like boom, it's there. And this goes across like this. I hear stories about this all the time. Another example is, you know, the top athletes. Take Usain Bolt. When you ask him after, like, if someone asked him after he ran, like, what do you think about before and after? He don't even care what he thinks about. He just like, he knows he's gonna run, and he knows that if he starts overthinking about that running, he's gonna perform worse. And that's like a proven fact. Like, you're going to perform worse if you overthink or worry about the task. And it's just a tiny misunderstanding of how life works that kind of like sends people in that misunderstanding all the time.
Oh man, that's such a big point for me. Like, Christine, we're gonna answer your question right after, because have you seen, maybe Morten, there is a question from a girl attending this thing. I don't know if you can see it as well.
I don't know if it's a question, but I said
I haven't read it through completely because I wanted to be present with you, but I will go through it afterwards. And what really stands a lot of times in my way, in my development, is perfectionism.
Yeah.
The thing that I think like, well, I can release this YouTube video, but before I have to make it perfect.
Yeah.
Right, so I make a better impression on the world. The value is there, and it's kind of okay. But first, I just so those 0.01% will watch it more if I will cut it like this, and in that process, I waste so much energy of actually, like, I literally encourage people out there, do half-ass work sometimes and just release it. It's because that time that you try to make it perfect, you can actually use it to create new stuff. And it will be so much more fun, because the least fun thing about is making things perfect, like going through that blog entry or whatever you're doing, or that presentation, and like make every little thing. But in that way, in that time you can actually already go and do new creative stuff. So especially when you're out there and you want to create something, your own brand, stuff like that. My biggest learning is stop making things perfect. Just put it out there half-ass. Even though I thought some videos of me suck, like literally, I thought like most of them like they completely suck. I get feedback like, Kai, you could help me in that and that, and I'm like, wow, that's nice, you know. And it's still better than not uploading it at all, or thinking, well, I could change it a little bit, and then in the end not finishing it because you don't feel like making it perfect.
I totally agree. It's like, because people want to connect, and it's funny, we do have this like this matrix of perfectionism going through our society. Is like all the commercials are like perfect, and like the magazines, and like even when people meet each other that haven't spoken to each other for in a while, they're like trying to be perfect, and like, you know, we all have, you know, elements of that role, but it's always freeing when people are just like being themselves and showing their flaws. Like, I have no idea, you know, we have no idea how people are watching, if they even like us, you know. I mean, one guy said I'm hot, so I guess that's good, but like, we just like we're just putting it out there and see if people connect, you know. And we have a saying in our team, it's like, get it out, don't get it right. And that's like, I love that. It's the same thing you said. It's like, you know, get it out, let's do it, let's set up a webinar, let's do it, let's boom, and then see what happens. It's the same thing. We're following our heart. You know, we're following inspiration and we're following the feeling instead of trying to think it all out before and then executing after, because there's probably millions of projects that have been thunk through 500 times and never started. Like, I had my blog, I don't know, I'm guessing for like 6-7 years, and I have 350 articles hidden in some archive that I don't want to show anyone because they're terrible. I would probably think they're terrible now. I don't even want to look at them, you know. But it's, you know, it's part of the path. I'm here right now, aren't I? I'm speaking at a conference, which I think is pretty cool. So yeah, I totally agree with you on that. Totally.
Oh yeah. Man, I'm feeling like I want to wrap this up slowly, if that's okay for you. So what we're gonna do is, like, we have a little goodie at the end, of course, of this little webinar. Actually, two little goodies that I want to talk with you about. So as I said before at the beginning, is like I really want you guys not only to be here at those cool webinars, but to actually be at the Lifestyle Design Convention, because I know when you meet people who are like-minded, when you network with them, it's 10 times more valuable than, or maybe 100 times more valuable if you just watch it, even than a webinar, because you will change in a different kind of way, and you will also network with people. You will build up a social circle that final is also maybe as driven or maybe as seeking or whatever you are as you are, and they're also looking for the same answers. Everybody is, and yeah, it's just a great place to be. I will put a lot of my creative force into it. Whenever I feel like it, I will work on it, and that is quite a lot. So I'm putting a lot of effort into it, and yeah, I want to give you guys the chance to have like a little kind of special deal, especially to the people who are now live out there listening to us, because that means to me that you're kind of interested in that stuff, or you're like me or Morten or whatever, but at least you're a little tiny bit interested in that stuff, and I really want to share with you guys a little goodie. And what you can see right now, if that fancy stuff works, that technical stuff works, you will get, let me see.
I want to hear. Yeah, this is awesome and good.
There we go. You have now a special offer on the side of your screen, which will be, after we finish that webinar, 60 minutes online. It's going to be a 25% discount on the early bird ticket. So the cheapest ticket that we already have now, so it's going to be even 25% off of that. And it will be fucking amazing to have you guys on board. I mean, Morten, you did a lot of live events. What is the value for people there?
Well, for me, by far the biggest value is connecting with the people who are there and connecting with the speakers. I mean, obviously, I'm looking very much forward to meeting everyone, and I'm super stoked to meeting the speakers as well, because I know at an event, you know, of that size, throughout a weekend, you're meeting everyone. And you're like, what happens is you automatically connect with the one you're connecting with, and it's effortless. You just, like, you're gonna connect with the one who's on your vibe, you know. So you're gonna get new best friends who's like-minded, and you're gonna get like to tap in directly to the source of people who have created something that you want to create. And there's nothing more valuable than that. Like, that in itself, to me, is worth the entire ticket. And not to mention, you know, I know how it is setting up an event, and I know how much work goes into setting up an event like that. So I'm just curious to, like, see what all of your work has, you know, resulted in. So I'm super stoked about that as well. We had the idea while you were here, because you actually came up here. This is like, guys, if you want to find a more dedicated guy arranging a conference, I think the two most dedicated guys are sitting right here, because Kai flew up to Norway just to, like, meet us, immerse himself in, you know, just, you know, in our lifestyle and pinging ideas, and, creating videos and just like doing his thing. And we got the idea that why don't we, it's like, get a bus from Norway and drive it down with me and my entire team and whoever wants to join, and drive the bus all the way down to Zurich. How do you say it? Zurich? Zurich?
Zurich.
Zurich. And then we have like a road trip going down there. So we have like an insightful party road trip going down there. I'm super stoked about that. So we're gonna literally do that. Like we decided that we're gonna go through with that idea and actually drive a bus from Oslo down to Zurich and join the conference. And I'm adding in a ton of bonuses for whoever wants to join that bus road trip. So they're gonna get a ton of coaching from me. They're gonna get VIP treatment. They're gonna get free lunch, and they're gonna get a dinner with me. They're gonna get a hotel room next to the venue. They're basically gonna get the full fucking experience. And for me, just like I know you as well, it's like for me, all that what has been pulling me through my career, and I'm going to talk about this at the conference as well, is always all over delivering. That's my philosophy. Is like take fast and massive action and always over deliver. So I'm going to make sure that the trip is worth it. I'm going to make sure it's going to be the experience of a lifetime.
Cool. Yeah. So actually the pop-in will be clickable the next 10 seconds. And then I will remove it, so if people are interested in it, they should click on it now so they have it in a new tab open. And yeah, what's left to say, guys, is you should really subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's called a Lifestyle Design Convention. You can find that on YouTube really easily. I would really like it if you would like us on Facebook, actually. If you haven't done it, and also tell your friends. If you have a friend that you think that he needs a kick in the ass, he already talked about changing his life so many times, but something kept him from it, or he's really into self-improvement and wants to grow even more. Absolutely amazing. I just put in the link in the chat. You can like us on that, so you also get updated on everything that we're doing at the moment. The link to the webpage is, of course, lifestyle2015.com, so you can go on that. And I will re-upload the offer right now with the special webinar offer that we talked about right now.
Yes.
There we go.
So
and
yeah. So you have this 25% off for the people who were at this webinar, right?
Exactly. It's only for those people who are at this webinar. It's especially it will be up for 60 minutes, and then I will remove it to force you to buy fast. That's exactly what I do, and even more importantly, to take action, because I know otherwise we'll get into your thinking.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, that's what it is. Like even Eben Pagan, he said that speed of implementation is the #1 key to success. It's like the faster you take a thought or an idea into action, the more success you're gonna have, and that's how it works. I know I've spent literally all of my money on workshops and programs and traveling to meet mentors and coaches and all that. And the best thing you can invest in is yourself, and you guys already know this. I see some of the attendees here, and I take it for granted that you join me on the bus trip down to Zurich. How much fun are we gonna have? Probably gonna be, who knows? Maybe we'll. Maybe we'll come down there like drunk and like fucking party. Probably not though, but maybe, who knows? I just know that I will do everything in my power to make sure it'll be a trip worth remembering.
Yeah, and I will do everything in my power that it will be the most amazing event that you guys will ever imagine. Yeah.
Cool.
Really put it all in. Yeah, guys. So we're at the end of this webinar. Morten, thank you so much for taking the time, and I'm looking forward to see you latest live at the Lifestyle Design Convention 2015, January 10th and 11th. And thank you so much, guys and girls, for being at this little webinar of ours. I will wish you a great evening, and yeah, I hope to see you live at the Lifestyle Design Convention. Bye bye,
Peace.
guys. Bye bye. Bye bye.